Hello, Panthers fans, and welcome to On The Prowl, Panthers Grab Bag, episode 41. I'm Val, producer of the show, and we're excited you've joined us for another great Panthers discussion.
Thanks, Val. I'm Bill, your host, and we've got plenty to talk about today, including the latest Panthers news, rumors, reactions, and fan topics. Let's get this episode started.
Welcome to On The Prowl, Panthers Grab Bag, episode 41. I'm your host, Bill. Want to thank our wonderful co-host and our NHL analyst for doing an outstanding episode on the breakdown of the Panthers season. They could not have done better. Val, thank you so much. And to our NHL analysts, thank you so much. And if you haven't had a chance to, please go back and watch that because they really did a deep dive into why things went the way they did back for last season. And it really is worth your while to go back and watching. In fact, she's not sitting in the chair tonight because she's producing the show. So, and I have her in my ear telling me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. So hopefully this will go smoothly tonight. What I thought I'd like to do tonight would be to do a Panthers grab bag because there's a lot of topics going on right now. And I wanted to pick three of the most relevant ones for the time period that's going on. Obviously, we're not nowhere near October, but there's still a lot going on as far as the Panthers are concerned. So we're just going to dive right into it. And the three areas that I want to look at is, of course, Barkov, Lundell, and Team Finland in the World Championships. We're going to talk about that. And then what will Sergei Bobrovsky do? And we'll have some discussion regarding that as well. And last but not least, the Panthers have the number 9 pick, and will they draft a number 9 pick or will they make a blockbuster deal? So let's just go ahead and get into it right here. All right. Now, the first thing here, topic 1, Team Finland road to the gold medal game. Okay. And you can see here, they play a lot of games. I mean, it's not best out of 7. It's, one game at a time here. And you can see they beat Germany, Hungary, USA, Latvia, Great Britain, Austria, Switzerland beat them 4-2. And in the quarterfinal, they beat Czechia. It was 4-1. And then they beat Canada 4-2, which was a great day for hockey as far as I'm concerned. We beat Team Canada. That's awesome. And I say we, and I mean Barkov and Lundell. So, and as of today, the gold medal game was today. It's Finland versus Switzerland. The results aren't in as of the time of this podcast being recorded, and it was at Swiss Life Arena in Zurich. Switzerland beat Finland 4-2 in the preliminary round. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens with that, and we'll kind of keep you posted on that as well. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about was how Barkov and Lundell have done here in the Worlds. And Barkov's played in 9 games. He's had 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points, and been a +5. Of course, we all know he's captain of Team Finland. Scored key goal in the semifinal comeback versus Canada. Top line, 2-way anchor, of course. That goes without saying. It's renowned. His ability he is probably one of the best I have ever seen ever in hockey at a 2-way player. I don't think there's been anybody that's better. And then, of course, is affectionately known to Panthers fans as Baby Barkov, Anton Lundell. He played in 9 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points, and he was a +2. He had the game-winning goal versus Czechia in the quarterfinal. He has had 3 power play goals and trusted matchup center as he is with the Panthers. I mean, you can't ask for anything better out of his performance there at all. And then, of course, Finland gives Panthers fans a reason to watch deep into May, but health and workload matter heading into next season. Well, of course, that's very true. And I've just got reminded here by our wonderful producer here that a lot of people have had questions about whether or not the Worlds are on TV. And I did do some research, and I really couldn't find anything about that. I would have thought NHL Network might have carried something like this, but I didn't see anything. So if there was something, next time the Worlds come around, I think it would behoove the NHL to let everybody know about something like this, because for those of us who are anxious to see our teams for our countries playing and our players who are playing for them, as in this case, we would have loved to have seen this today. To make that opportunity available. But I mean, it was really good to see such positive results, especially for Barkov and for Lundell, and that they have had a great tournament here And I do hope it ended favorably for them today. So, all right, we're going to go on to the next subject here. And this is kind of, like I said, it's potpourri. It's kind of like we're hitting things here. And this is probably one of the hottest topics right now during the off season. And yeah, I know my producer reminds me, yes, it is extremely hot. All right. Will Sergei Bobrovsky, what will he do? All right. Last season, rumored contract terms and Panthers options. 2025 season record, he was 27, 23, and 1. 3.07 goals against average, 877 save percentage, and 4 shutouts. Current deal expired 7 years, $70 million. It had $10 million annual average value. Bobrovsky side reportedly wants term and prefers to stay in Florida. Rumored range could land around 6 to 7 million AAV if market heats up. AFP projection 2 years, 11.19 million total, 5.595 million annual average value. Panther side shorter term looks possible. 1 year bonus structure or 2-3 years discussed publicly as possibilities. And one of the big things that I have heard from in a lot of circles, in a lot of the writers out there, and Elliot Friedman may have even addressed this as well too. It's been said that he wants a deal similar to the one that Brad Marchand has because and the way it was structured. And that was a great deal. And if anybody is going to be able to get this done, it's going to be Bill Zito. Bill Zito's best general manager, not only in hockey, but in any sport I've ever seen. The man he knows how to do it. I think it really helped that he used to be an agent, and he really has a real beat for what these guys do, where they're at, how things are going for them. And I think a lot of people need to take a step back here. And yeah, Sergei Bobrovsky did not have his best season last year. And of course, that's really tied in with what my wonderful co-host and our NHL analysts talked about last week with the kind of disaster season that they had. And one can understand that. But I think one thing that you really have to look at is team chemistry here. All right. They really, when the Panthers entered the playoffs the past several years, I mean, it was like a different season for all of them, especially for Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, last year he played every game. And I think the year before that, he played every game as well, too. And it's very important to not underestimate the fact how he fits in with that team and the chemistry in that locker room. It's like none other in sports. And I think Paul Maurice has alluded to it a number of times during his pressers, is that they just have something special that is going on in there, and how Brad Marchand has fit right in, Seth Jones has fit right in, and others that they brought in from outside have fit into that locker room and that culture, and that players want to come here. They want to play here, not only for the chance to be able, obviously, have a chance to go all the way to the Stanley Cup finals and win, but also just, having that camaraderie and that bonding. That really, there's a lot to be said about that. And I think you have to be real careful here and weigh that in terms of the contract negotiations and the status here, because there's no price tag on chemistry. You can't, that's not something that you can pick up off the shelf and have right away. All right. Because, there's a lot of rumors about Connor Hellebuck, and in case Bobrovsky doesn't come, that the Panthers go after him. And that's a very real possibility. But I think, again, and I'll digress just a little bit here. And before I close on this piece about Sergei Bobrovsky, is you guys remember about 9 years ago when Vegas came into the league, and one of the things that really, for me, growing up as a Penguins fan, it was really hard for them to see. They gave up Marc-Andre Fleury, all right? And I can tell you this. He was like Sergei Bobrovsky. He was the heart and soul of the Penguins. He really was. I mean, I know Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang, but he was that chemistry. He bound that team together, and they put Matt Murray in because Matt Murray was the future, and Mike Sullivan was all hep on him, and I could do a whole podcast on that, but I won't. Suffice it to say, it really I think the Penguins have struggled ever since then with their goaltending. And it's because, and since that's happened, they have not made it back to the finals. And it was just, not right. and it really messed with their team and their team structure. And from what I hear, there's they have a Russian goaltender at Wilkes-Barre Scranton who's the heir apparent and who really seems to be like the real deal and is going to fit in. I think he's only 19 or 20 years old. I mean, they have Stuart Skinner, and they made a great trade, by the way, with the Oilers. Oh, my gosh, the Oilers got fleeced on that trade. But, again, that's a whole other podcast in and of itself. But suffice it to say, I think you really have to take into account the chemistry factor with Sergei Bobrovsky, and I know Zito is taking that into account when he does this. And if he can get the job done and get him back, he will get him back. And I tell you what, a healthy Panther team in front of him, you're going to see a rejuvenated Sergei Bobrovsky next season if things work out for him, and I really hope they do. He's one of my favorite players for the Panthers. So let's go ahead and move on here to our third topic for the evening is make a pick at number 9 or make a blockbuster deal. Now, there are two schools of thought right here, and keep pick number 9 and develop him, add a premium prospect to the pipeline, cost control player during cap pressure, protects the future beyond the current core, more patience, less immediate help, and then trade pick number 9 for immediate help. Maximizes the current championship window, could solve a major need right now, useful if goalie or top 6 help becomes available, higher risk, lose a vulnerable long-term asset. Okay. And, and Bill Zito is, like I said, he is the master at all of this. All right. The man really knows what he's doing when it comes to balancing out these kinds of things and how important this is. And, whether or not they want to get a prospect and develop them in the pipeline versus maximizing their opportunity to the championship window. And bear in mind, too, that the core players like Barkov and Kachuk and Bennett and Reinhardt, a lot of these guys are signed very long term. Okay. We're talking very long term. And what a great thing that Bill Zito has done with them is to lock them in like that. So there's no question about where they're going to be the next several years. They're going to be playing for the Panthers. And that's important here. So, I think Bill Zito has a great problem to have this season, is either to add that premium prospect to our pipeline or, use that prospect plus possibly a trade to get somebody that's going to fit in right now. And I really kind of don't know which way he's going to lean on something like this. If my gut were to tell me this, because and the reason I say this is because, you always want to maximize the opportunity for the championship window. But I think the last point on there is really, really well taken, is the higher risk, lose a valuable long-term asset. And I think one of the names that's been bantered about in case Zito would do something like that is Mackie Samoskevich. The Panthers have really worked him in. And I think towards the latter part of the season, and everybody knew the last part of the season was a wash, he really stepped up to the plate when a lot of the regular guys were out. Barkov was out. Bennett was out. I mean, we really had nobody that was, a household name up there except Mackie Samoskevich. And he really kind of jumped to the forefront, and he started scoring goals. He got involved in plays, and I think he found a lot of his self-confidence right there. So, that's this was one that could kind of go either way. I really don't know. And for me, if I were Bill Zito, we have all these players locked long-term. All right. And, when we're a healthy team, we're going to be right in the mix as far as the playoffs are concerned to get all the way to the Stanley Cup finals again. I mean, the only thing that held the Panthers back this year was exactly what happened to them, the injury bug. All right. And if the Panthers can remain relatively injury-free, I see no reason why they're not going to be back in the Stanley Cup finals next year. I mean, it really, yeah, I agree. My producer's reminding me, yeah, she's nodding her head as well too. And it makes a whole lot of sense. And I think that's one of the things that we need to be aware of, is that they're still in the mix right here. So Bill Zito and the Panthers could add the premium prospect to the pipeline. I mean, and I think that may be what I would call a safer bet for now, because one of the things is you can add that premium prospect, and then, if something comes along and somebody makes Bill Zito an offer down the line, he can still take that. It's not like he needs to make that decision right now during during the draft coming up. I think it would be best suit him, and I think this is just I'm talking and I'm thinking and I'm getting reminded by my producer about say what you're going to say, Bill. Okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I think it'd be best if they keep pick number 9 and develop at this point in time, because you can always put that in a package and trade that pick away later. And of course, you want to draft a highly skilled position. And the Panthers, fortunately, because of their adversity from last season, they get a high pick, and they haven't had a high pick for a long time, which is good, which means that they've been playing well. So again, I think it's going to best behoove them to go ahead and keep pick number 9 and develop that player and see how it ends up. And again, of course, Bill Zito could always end up down the road trading him along with another, put a nice package together to get somebody else that they may need. So, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, we're on the prowl.
Hi, everyone. I'm Val, co-host and producer of On the Prowl Panthers Hockey Talk. A huge thank you to Bill and our NHL analysts for helping put together our Panthers season deep dive. We've been overwhelmed by the incredible feedback and thoughtful comments you've shared. Thank you for watching, listening, and being part of this amazing Panthers community. From all of us here at On the Prowl Panthers Hockey Talk, thank you for watching this podcast. Until next time, Panthers fans, we're always on the prowl.